Hello. This is Sheri from the Sheri Kaye Hoff Show. I'm so excited to be here today, and we have another fantastic guest with us today to share some really important information to get you inspired and excited about your business. So don't forget to stop by our website, sherikayehoff.com, for some cool free gifts. Now, let me tell you about my guest. Cindy Weaver is an online course creator who has been in the education industry for over 25 years. In addition to her course creator business, she is an author of a memoir and numerous writing journals, which she designed and published. She is a leader and co-owner of Sacred Mountain Journeys, which offers retreats in the mountains of Colorado near her home. She hosts her podcast, The Sacred Pen, which is about all things writing and living a joyful, courageous life. The companion to her podcast is her Facebook page, also entitled The Sacred Pen. Welcome, Cindy. I'm so excited you're here. How are you today?
I'm great, Sheri. It's so great to be talking to you again.
Yes, we have a lot in common. We're kind of neighbors, in Colorado. Yes. So you are an expert at helping people create online courses. So tell us about why it's so important, what it involves, and what got you started doing this particular business.
Okay, well, I'll tell you a little bit about my journey and how I kind of got to this place. And I didn't think about this when I was talking to you before, but I have a little story. When I was 8, I asked my mom if I could gather up all the neighborhood kids and teach them. And, normally I think I would have just said a flat no to my kids. But, she was like, well, we could probably do that. We'll see. And she probably knew that, being 8, I'm going to be on to the next thing, in 2 days. But I think the fact that young I wanted to teach was really, very telling that this is what my life was going to be. And it is, what I found I wanted to do most in the world. And so I went on to get my teaching degree. I got my bachelor's in education, and then I went on to get my master's in educational technology. And I just had a love for technology and using it to teach, which is a good thing since I was a virtual teacher last year. So I've taught for 23 years. And one of the things I found in teaching, and I really actually didn't discover this till just, my later years in teaching, is that the thing I love is lesson planning and lesson creating. And I just love, that backwards design, like where do we want to get to? And how are we going to get there? And who are my students and what do they need? Asking all of those questions and then evaluating, where did they get there? And so I think that was kind of the groundwork for my course creating business, which I am launching into now. And then about this whole same time, my husband and I started our retreat business. And I started doing the course writing for it. He was the musician. He wrote all the music. He didn't care about, he was like, whatever you write is fine. And my favorite thing was to go to the local coffee shop, spread out, get that big idea started, and then the just the outline and the ideas. And I loved it. And so I just started seeing a pattern in my life. You love this, so you need to do more of it. And so I then wanted to be more specific in learning about the course creation business, because it's a pretty big business right now. And so I started mentoring and taking a course with Cindy Mulchaney of Course Paradise, and just learned a wealth of how now to bring this love and this expertise that I already had into a business. And so that was really helpful for me. And so now here I am right now. What do I do? So at this point, to date, I think I will always be a teacher in some iteration, of a teacher. It's just in my fiber. But I'm helping coaches and healers create online courses to extend their services and grow visibility and attract new clients, and just to get more of a global reach and even to create passive income. And I say that for the business or the entrepreneurs, that's what I do for them. But then there is, what do you do for the student? And I mean, technically, it is the entrepreneur who's building the class who is doing it for their student. But the goal for the student is kind of like the butterfly in the metamorphosis. You have educate and transform. So you have to get the information, and then you have to have the transformation. And so the reason I like to think of it as, the metamorphosis of the butterfly is that caterpillar starts eating, it nourishes itself. It gets that information nibble by nibble by nibble. But if it just stopped with information, it just end up a fat caterpillar, and pretty happy one, I think, because it would be very nourished, but it would never make that transformation. And the word transformation is bigger than the word change, because it means that you take what you've learned, you integrate it, and it moves you to the next stage in your life, and it changes your perspective, and it helps you move through life in a different way. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to help, the coaches and the healers. And this is kind of a niche for me just because I saw a need. And the need I saw is that, they can be filled up, their schedule can be filled up with face-to-face clients. But if you, for example, let's say you go through a traumatic life event and you see a therapist and you leave, and maybe you're not scheduled out for another month or 2 weeks. And then you start feeling anxiety and you go to their calendar and they're booked. And this is your person. You don't want to find someone new. But if that therapist had a course that the person could go to get some additional support, that would just be that would be rich. I would probably have taken hundreds of courses from coaches and therapists by now because I value them so much. So I really feel like they have just this prime opportunity right now to be reaching more people and to be offering more to their clients. So I just really feel really strongly about it. I think, it's just exciting to me, because I know also that coaching and, healing work can be exhausting. So it could also give, that person the opportunity to not work so much of the type of energy that is so, emotionally draining. And they could move into some other types of work as well. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I'm at to date.
Yeah. Well, I love how you shared, and you can tell that you're just a brilliant teacher walking through. I love the caterpillar to butterfly metamorphosis. And, we know that, but just your description of it was just so detailed and inspiring. And I think, you can tell you're definitely an awesome teacher. So one thing I can totally relate to you too, because when I was a kid, I did the same thing. But I made my friends be their student. My students, I made them sit down. We would get home from school and I would make them sit down and do schoolwork. Lots of fun, right? But I also scheduled, I created circuses from like the neighborhood kids, and I would go to all the neighbors and I would say, we created a circus, come and watch our circus. And we would charge them a penny each to watch our circus. This is back a few years ago. We just did cartwheels and we jumped over tires. And I'm sure the neighbors just got a big hoot out of that. But yeah, so I think, and it's similar to what I'm doing now. So pay attention to those younger stories.
Exactly.
I coach a lot of business owners, and most people are sold on the idea of, I need to have a course. The courses are everywhere right now. And what I see people going through when they're creating a course is, I'm a natural course creator, and it just feels like I can see how to get, from A to D, or, to move through things. But a lot of people don't see that, and they don't have, when they say, well, I want to teach this, but they really have no idea where to start or how to organize it or how to put it together or how to reach all the various learning styles. And so how do you work through that with your people when they come to you, when they say, okay, I know I have a course and this is what I want to teach, but I just feel lost with the steps?
Well, what I start with is, just a call to get to know each other and to kind of see if we're a right fit. And one of the questions that I ask them is, why are you coming to a course creator? Because for some people, they can create the logistics of the course, but it's the technology that might be holding them back. But for others, it's just so overwhelming to think, like they have a vague idea, but they don't know how to flesh it out. And for me, it's like, that's my game, I love it. And if I can help somebody do that, then that's what I want to do. But I need to realize what it is that they feel like they can't do, that I could give them. And so once we have that, if it feels like if it's a good fit, we have a 2 to 4 hour course planning workshop where I use a lengthy blueprint. And we start with a big idea. And, they may think they know what their idea is, but you really have to, distill that down until sometimes a big idea seems like you're distilling it down to a small thing, but the smaller you distill it down to, the bigger idea it is. And so, we need to be really super clear on what that is. And then, from there, we start thinking about their students first, where we're going, that backward design. And then, they can give me as much content as they have, and I will ask them lengthy questions. And, we'll just spend a long, long time until we end up with a product that, is fully outlined. We know where it's going. We know who it's for. And then I will put that all together and give them a copy of that. And then they can decide, do they want to take it from there and build their own course? Because once they have it organized, there are some people who do feel comfortable, in creating the format and the delivery. Or if they want to hire my services further for the build out, they can do that as well.
And do you have a certain software that you use for the build out of your courses, one that you like, or do you work with multiple different ones?
I work with multiple, and it really depends, on who their students are. If their students really need a low-tech version without accounts and passwords and that type of thing, then we can really make it as a PDF that is delivered through email but has clickable links. So you can click to a video and you can, click to all kinds of different documents or whatever. But if it's, if they need a low-tech version, that's a great way to do it. And then there are multiple platforms that I can also work through depending on what the needs of the course are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love the low tech idea and also the high tech idea and everywhere in between, because, I've done courses where I have like just a password protected page on my WordPress site, which is very easy to set up. You just kind of load everything up there and then setting up the password. It's the same password for everybody. Mm-hmm. So that's a really good low tech way to do things. And I love your PDF idea. And then also offering, a higher level of people logging in and being able to kind of have their own student accounts. So because I think people get hung up on that too. I mean, I'm seeing from, coaching business owners for 14 years, if they get hung up on how complex the tech piece has to be, then oftentimes the course never gets done, because you can always start with a low tech option and then, turn it into a more high tech, elaborate thing at some point in the future. I mean, there's always a version 1.0, 2.0, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really encourage people to check you out for your online course creating, but also tell us a little bit about, your other pieces of your life, like your sacred pen and your retreats, because you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur. And I think a lot of my people are too, where they don't just pick that one thing. And I encourage people, if there's something you're excited about doing, go for it. Don't limit yourself because you feel like you have to be so totally niche down. So tell us a little bit about that. What else rounds you out?
This is interesting because I was just listening to one of your podcasts this morning, and you were talking about just that, and you named a book that somebody wrote, and I wrote it down here. I had to send myself a text. Actually, it is "Refuse to Choose."
Yep, by Barbara Sher. Yep.
And I'm an octopus. Like, I have an arm for many different things. I'm trying to get myself down to being a starfish. And if I can get myself down to being a starfish, I think maybe I can niche down even more. But the whole niche thing is really hard for me because, I love to write. I love, and I love to create. I'm a creative. I have to be creating something all the time. I do art. I have designed journals using my art. I have a podcast. I have, and I am an herbalist. And sometimes I just want to say, just stop. You have to stop, But the thing is, I'm so passionate about every single thing that I do. And what I found is that they actually all kind of cross genres. It's like I'm a spiritual geek. Anything that connects me with nature and the universe it all kind of ties together, and every single thing I do kind of points back to that. So I guess I will probably just continue to be an octopus for life.
Well, and you could embrace that octopus. I think that, I get it. Like I always tell people, learn the marketing rules so then you can go break them all. Because there's like a backbone of things that I think it's important to know. And it is easier to come into business and have just like the one idea. But if you're not the person who just has the one big idea and that's the only thing, like you said, everything you do works together. And for me too, like the backbone of everything I do, the backbone is happiness, the living joyfully and happiness. That's the backbone to everything. And there's always a threaded theme, whether I'm doing business coaching, marketing mindset, anything like that. That backbone of that inner self, that inner game is always there. And I would be sad if it wasn't. It's what gets me up every day. And I think that we do people a disservice when we tell them you have to niche down, you have to drill it down. Now, there is a difference. Like if you're sending an email out to somebody, have one topic in the email, unless it's your newsletter and you're going to, maybe have different sections of your newsletter. But really free yourself. Everyone who's listening, free yourself to follow your passions. And the leaders and mentors that I look to are the leaders and mentors who embrace the multi-passionate idea, because there just are people who they're born that way. And if your whole life you're trying to make yourself not that way, it's a battle. And why battle against it? Why not just embrace that this is, so few people can actually handle the multi-passionate thing. And if you can and you love it, go for it.
I love that you said that, because I think, as you were talking about happiness being the backbone, that is why I do all the things that I do, because I'm looking for joy and they bring me joy. And you also reminded me that when I started the course business, when I started going down that road, my husband said, I want you to get yourself a box. And every time you have an idea, I want you to write it down and put it in that box, because you are going to drive yourself crazy, because the ideas were just popping. And so I do that, I just throw all my ideas in a box. So.
Well, that's a good technique. I use Google Keep, which is, it's similar to Evernote, but it's a way of just it's almost like digital sticky notes, but they organize really fast. And so that keeps me from feeling like I'm ever going to lose an idea. I just, dump it all into Keep, and I even track all my client hours and everything in there because it's just so simple. So I think having something to capture those ideas. Your husband's a brilliant guy. Keep him around for a while. Okay, so please tell us, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Probably my website, coursemagicdesigns.com.
Okay, perfect. And then also, as we've talked about a lot of different things, so what is the one or two takeaways that you would love for people to have when they think, oh, Cindy Weaver?
There's really one thing that I would like everyone to remember, and this can be about starting your course or anything you're passionate about. And that is one word, and that word is start. And I have to preach that to myself all the time because I have a tendency to want to wait until I get to perfection to get something going. Like I have to be an expert or I can't do it. And in my last years, I have just been starting and starting and starting, and it's so joyous. And that's all I want you to do. I just want you to start.
I love it, drilling it down to the simple. So thank you so much for being here today. You've just been a delightful guest and with so much wisdom and so much fun. And I want to thank all of our listeners. And remember to stop by SheriKayeHoff.com. And I will talk to everyone soon. Take care. Bye-bye.